Well, hi everyone. I'm John Ritlin with a review of two Netflix original movies that I saw today, Before I Wake and Malevolent. Two horror movies that were not any good at all. No, I'm not even going to mix words. I fucking hated both of these movies. I hated one a lot more than the other. Whew, boy, there's going to be spoilers throughout all this. You should get an idea right there how I feel. So there's going to be spoilers throughout all this, like any of the multi-movie reviews that I do. So, Before I Wake, directed by Mike Flanagan, who directed Oculus and Doctor Sleep. Two movies that were better. I like the premise of Oculus, didn't necessarily like the execution, but I understand why some people liked it. So we have Jesse and Mark. Kate Bosworth and Thomas Jane are two parents that lost their boy when he drowned in a bathtub. So they finally decide after therapy, mainly Jesse going to therapy, that she decides she's going to, they want to adopt a kid. They adopt a boy named Cody, who's been through some foster parents, and those situations have not ended all that well, but the caseworker says he's a bright kid. She loves him. She really thinks he deserves a good future. So they take him in and everything seems to be going good. He's got this box he doesn't want anybody to take from him that's got stuff to help him stay awake. Now, why would a boy want to stay awake? Well, it turns out that his dreams come true and come to life, like he loves butterflies, and a bunch of butterflies float around and everything when he sleeps. He doesn't like to sleep, though, because in addition to his dreams, his nightmares come true, like a creature called the Canker Man. You get to find out what all that's about pretty damn soon. The Canker Man absorbs people and kills people. And gee, I wonder what happened to those foster families. I wonder what happened to that. Well, Jesse, grows attached to Cody. So does Mark. And since they lost their son, and he wants to make them happy, he helps conjure up dreams. Like first, like how their son Sean was. And then he sees a DVD of a Christmas celebration, so he's able to put a voice there and create memories. This is great. Jesse kind of uses him for that, and it's kind of bad, but also there's the Cody's trying to get into school. He's trying to he develops a little friendship, doesn't really go anywhere with a young girl. I don't remember her name, but she was the youngest girl in The Conjuring. She was the one that Lily Taylor's character tried to kill. Sorry, spoilers, but Conjuring's been out a while, and this movie's been out a while also. It's actually been out for a few years, and the concept of it isn't all that bad. A boy's dreams and nightmares come to life, and it can get really, really vicious. The problem is the movie is just not that interesting. The special effects are kind of Since he likes butterflies, there's weird, goofy butterflies, digital butterflies floating around, and also the Canker Man that dispatches people. So what's the Canker Man represent? It represents cancer. It represents cancer that took his mother, and it manifests as grief. And it also dispatches a school bully that happened to pick on Cody at one point. And then you have the typical stuff of where, the parents are trying to come to grips with all this stuff happening. And then the Canker Man shows up when Jesse gives a sedative, a sleeping pill that a doctor prescribed to help Cody sleep because he needs to sleep. He can't stay awake all that time. And he is too far asleep, and the Canker Man takes Mark, as it has taken many other people. There was an earlier scene in the very beginning, which is usually when earlier scenes would happen, not later in a movie. That'd be hard to do unless they're flashbacks, where a guy wants to try to kill Cody because of all this stuff that's happened. Turns out that guy is visited in a mental institution later, and he lost his wife. And his wife is taken by the Canker Man. And Cody keeps having these issues. This caseworker takes him away, says, "Oh, I was wrong about this. I was wrong about this house being good for him." Then she gets kind of wrapped up in all this stuff because there's scary moths and butterflies, but especially deadly moths, because it's grief manifested in this horrific imagery. And what happens is basically Jesse has to hug it out of him, and everything's happy, all things are good. People go back to being normal, or do they? Maybe these are dreams. She's telling him a story and everything's fine. Like, yeah, I know that your grief manifested and killed my husband, but hey, that's okay. We can be a family somehow, whatever. This movie wasn't all that good. It just wasn't. It tried, but the whole thing about creepy kid doing this kind of stuff, it gets overdone, and this one was not interesting at all. So D, though, because it does have some interesting ideas, the execution just isn't particularly there. However, I enjoyed that one a lot more than Malevolent, which has Florence Pugh in it, And I loved her in Midsommar or Midsummer, however you want to say it, and Little Women. And I liked her in Fighting with My Family. But I liked those first two movies a whole lot. So I wanted to see, okay, what else was she in before I got turned on to her career? Well, she teams up with her brother and a couple friends to scam people by pretending to be paranormal investigators. And her grandpa talks about how her mother had this gift and went into an institution because she kept believing that she saw a ghost and kept, believing all this stuff. And the grandfather didn't buy into this. Oh, and she suffered from nosebleeds. Well, geez, the character played by Florence Pugh, Angela, happens to also suffer from nosebleeds and isn't comfortable doing this stuff anymore because she's tired of scamming people. Turns out that one of the guys in the group owes a lot of money to the wrong people you don't want to fuck with, and he has to keep doing this. So he's like, hey, this woman has contacted them. She keeps hearing little girls screaming and crying in her house, and she just wants to be rid of them. Okay, she's willing to pay double the rate. Bit odd. They get to the house, and she says, well, don't scam me. Let's not do this, and you get rid of these ghosts, and I will pay you. So they decide to go do that. Oh, it turns out that, there actually were girls that got killed at this house. And I wonder who did it. It's the old woman. It's the old woman that did it. It reminded me of All the Boys Love Mandy Lane, where they tried to make you feel sorry for some of the people, and it just really wasn't all that good. It tried to be like torture porny, if that's even a word. I mean, it can be a word now. But there were no characters. It only helps if there are characters, characters in movies like this, and this movie had none. One guy busts his ankle falling through some old flooring. Another guy, a girl eventually gets kidnapped. The other girl in the group gets kidnapped. How is all this stuff going on? Oh no, how's all that? Well, again, it's the old woman, and it turns out to be her son that she references being a really nice kid, but it turns out that he's actually alive. He's very much alive. And they're the ghosts of the girls that are trying to tell her what's going on because they have their mouths sewn shut, so they can't. They couldn't do anything. They have a sewn mouth and they cannot scream. Basically, is what I'm saying. And eventually, after everybody gets captured and torture porned and to like death, I mean, and even though they don't show some of it, one guy, the guy that busts his ankle, gets hit in the head with a shovel a few times. Okay. You got Angela that comes back, and she's trying to save people. She gets captured, and then her brother gets taken away somewhere, and eventually dispatched. You don't see a lot of shit that goes on with this. The movie just assumes that you can figure this stuff out. It doesn't show anything. It's a very much not even tell and not even show. It's just like, here, just assume this happened because we couldn't afford to shoot it. The jump scare music is absolutely shit. Also, the music isn't all that good either, and eventually the old woman gets dispatched because the ghostly girls scream, and then Angela kills her and talks to Elliot, who was the guy they had the busted ankle, and everything seems good, and then that's all. And yeah, it's a bad movie. It's a really, really bad movie. It gets an F, and this one came out just 2 years ago. Just 2 years ago. This isn't like this came out in 2008 or 1998. Well, would have been weird to come out in 1998 because Florence Pugh ain't that old. But this was really, really bad. At least Before I Wake had some interesting ideas. This just wasn't. This was just shovelware thrown out there, and that's all it was. Anyway, F definitely. So, agree, disagree with what I said. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.